my friends, I try not to be too much of a judgy McJudge face, but these pre-builds, they just, whenever I run into them, I always feel kind of weird. This is an Ipason, and I've seen this weird Ipason pre-built brand before. Not often, but I have. And, you know, I'm pretty happy that it's a Ryzen 5 5600G. I don't know why it's a 5600G when they put an RTX in it, but okay, weird. Why would you do that? I'm not sure. But they did. So if the RTX wasn't in here, you have something to fall back on. I can't complain about that. This power supply is, let me spin this around. This is one of those, hey, that's not a power supply, that's my fat ass. This is one of those weirdo, Golden Field. It's just one of those weirdo Chinese power supplies. It gets the job done. I mean, 500 watts is plenty, especially for a rig like this. Things don't take up as much power as you think. Why exactly, I wonder, are there two different kinds of RAM in here? Now, I assume that one of these is probably what they put in and then the user upgraded it, because you can see there's 48 gigs, which implies there was 16 and someone added another 32. Not that you need more than 16, but okay, interesting choice. Maybe it was a user upgrade. Standard AMD heatsink. Why do they have to put these in everything? Why must every computer come with a giant array of stupid LED fans? 4 of them in this one. 4 glowy LED fans. So, just to be clear, I don't know what kind of RTX this is yet, but it's not a very big card. Something tells me at full blast it doesn't generate much heat. So why do we need 4 fans? Why do we need this much airflow for a Radeon or a Ryzen 5, which this is a 65 watt chip, and I'm gonna bet this RTX doesn't even push 100. It probably is less than that, frankly. But even if it is 100, that's 165 watts. This isn't necessary, guys. That's about the power that my Athlon XP put out back in the day, and I didn't have this much airflow. So that's weird. At least they oriented the fan correctly, so that's cool. I guess. But anyway, back here, standard micro ATX setup. Asus gaming board, can't really complain about that. If there's a 5600G, why is this VGA slot covered up with a cover? The processor has video. Why is that covered up? That's kind of weird. There's a lot of weird stuff going on here. As these things go, this one is not the worst in the world. There's room for a radiator. Why? Who knows? But, you know, if you shove, like, I don't know, a Threadripper in here, never gonna happen. Even the Ryzen 9s that you would put in here, 95 watt. You're never gonna put a radiator in this case. It doesn't make any sense. And even if you did, like, look, you got these 3 fans, right? Okay, cool, very cool. But this is solid plastic, and all you got is, like, these little cracks. There's like a crack going around here. And is it pulling in or out? I actually can't remember. That looks like, that is pulling in. So, yeah, it's pulling in through these cracks. I imagine that restricts the airflow of this 3-fan mass quite a bit. They could have just stuck 1 fan right there. Anyway, it's very strange that they do the things the way they do. A USB 3 and a USB 2 on the front makes no sense. Why is there a Wi-Fi antenna right here? And why does it not have a base? That's also a little weird and doesn't make sense to me. This is not tempered glass. That's plastic. It's plastic. I mean, you can see it's acrylic. You can see the scratches. There's actually a hell of a lot of scratches in this acrylic. It's acrylic. It's not glass. I'd much rather there just be a metal plate here. But okay, I do have to give them credit. These thumb screws, they're thumb screws, and they get the job done. It doesn't, they don't have to be amazing, but they do work. Now, on to some BIOS settings here. They've got the DOCP here, DDR4 3200. Why a gaming PC came with 3200, who knows? Probably doesn't really matter. But at least they did set the RAM to use the speed the RAM can support. This voltage up here is because of the XMP stuff. So I can't complain too much about the overclocking because that's just what you need to use the RAM. And CPU is running a cool 37, 34, whatever degrees Celsius. So yeah, can't complain too much, but this is a little much for cooling such a conservative system. And this is weird, and but honestly, it's not the worst I've seen at all, by any means. It's a little packed in there because it's a micro ATX setup, but I've seen so much worse than this. Honestly, an Asus gaming board, not a bad choice. Nice heat sinks on the VRMs there. I mean, it's a solid setup. But here's the thing, okay? And this is kind of where... Wait, what? Wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, when I went to exit here, watch what happens when I go to exit, okay? Save changes and reset, and it says that it changed the memory frequency. So they picked DOCP, but somehow it wasn't clocked up to 3200. It was 266. Are you kidding me right now? Okay. Well, hopefully it doesn't crash. So anyway, here's the problem. This computer has, as you can see down there, there's a 500 gig SSD. NVMe, all fine and great, right? The problem is, this SSD came from the factory, I use the word factory loosely, partitioned into 3 partitions. It's in here for an out-of-disk space condition, and they brought me this Western Digital NVMe SSD, which is on my little USB to NVMe adapter so I can clone it, to replace it because they were out of space on C. Half the drive is empty, but it's on not C partitions. I don't mean not C like the Germans. I mean like not the C drive. So yeah, there's some real weird choices that have been made with this what is it again? Ipason pre-build. So and I don't understand, why are people partitioning this stuff? Why are there 3 partitions? I don't get it. Whatever. Okay. Now, I think it is possible that the memory settings screwed this thing up. So some of the RAM might not be 3200, but I guess we'll find out the hard way. Anyway, I just wanted to show off this pre-build, since I've done some videos on pre-builds before, like CyberPower PC, and none of them seem to be able to escape the rainbow glowies, but this one is probably one of the lesser crappy ones. I do notice that they've gone out of their way a bit to hide these wires. This ATX connector is under a tiny bit of stress, but they're really not that bad. Yeah, see, the RAM thing messed it up, so it actually does have to be at 2666, I guess, and that's kind of the end of that. So we'll just unoverclock it, I suppose. Unoverclock it, there we go, and hope that unbreaks it, and there we are. Okay, that's that. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.